Imagine this picture. Hyderabad, 2014. There's this incredible energy, right? A brand new state, Telangana, is born. And for young people especially, there's this huge promise hanging in the air.
A really powerful promise. The chance for stable, respected government jobs. A way to actually serve the state they'd fought so hard for.
It wasn't just lines on a map changing. It felt like a new beginning. Hope was palpable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And these weren't just any jobs they were dreaming of. We're talking Group I posts.
Exactly. The top tier, the administrative backbone, the leadership roles. Huge prestige, huge responsibility.
But what happens when that dream, that promise, turns into a decade? A whole decade of waiting. And not just waiting, but constant setbacks.
Yeah, when the finish line just keeps moving further away, that's what we're diving into today.
It becomes this, well, heartbreaking story. A crisis, really.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack the whole saga of Telangana's Group I recruitment. The deferred dreams, the, systemic problems.
And a real human impact. The cost of a process that seems plagued by errors, controversies, just one thing after another.
We've looked at this from different angles, trying to understand why, after all this time, a clean, successful recruitment cycle seems, well, impossible for so many.
So let's rewind a bit, back to 2014. That moment Telangana was formed. It was deeply emotional for so many.
Right. And we found that a lot of young people specifically chose to aim for these state-level exams, TSPSC Group I, instead of, say, the national UPSC exams.
Why was that?
It seems it was about connection, a deep personal pull to serve their new state. They wanted to build it, be part of it from the ground up.
That makes sense. And the dedication.
Yeah.
It's incredible. We heard stories like someone calling Priya, pouring her youth into books, skipping family events, all for this goal.
Or Kumar, investing huge savings in coaching, basically sacrificing his social life for years, studying endlessly. And for what? The odds were tiny, something like a 0.23% chance of success.
It's staggering. These aren't just applicants. They're individuals making massive personal sacrifices, betting their futures.
Priya actually told someone, our 20s were meant for building dreams, not chasing shadows. That really hits home, doesn't it?
It does. And then after all that initial hope in 2014, silence. 8 long years passed before the first notification for Group I posts finally came out, April 2022.
8 years. Think about that. In a new state needing its administration built, that delay itself must have built up enormous pressure.
Definitely. And when that notification, number 040022, finally dropped, it was for 503 spots. But the response was huge. Over 230,000 people applied. Just desperate for those secure jobs.
That long wait is key. It wasn't just a delay, it amplified the stakes massively. Why did it take so long? That's a question that still hangs in the air, I think.
Well, once things finally got moving, it wasn't exactly smooth sailing. The first preliminary exam was held in October 2022.
And almost immediately, disaster.
Yeah, it got derailed. Fast. Turns out there was a question paper leak. It came out during a bigger investigation into other scams.
A leak right at the start. That just shatters trust, doesn't it? It suggests serious vulnerabilities in the system itself. Lack of security, maybe?
The High Court certainly seemed to think so. They even pointed out that the commission itself admitted mistakes were made.
So a terrible start. What happened next? They had to redo it, presumably.
They did. A re-examination was set for June 2023. But, this wasn't a clean slate either. It was almost worse in some ways.
And how so?
Reports of just bizarre problems, biometrics, the fingerprint scans for identity, vanishing, hall tickets printed without photos. OMR sheets, the answer sheets turning up blank for some candidates.
Blank OMR sheets? How does that even happen? And vanishing biometrics. That sounds like either major tech failures or really, really poor management.
And confusing numbers, too. The count of how many people actually took the re-exam seemed to change depending on which report you looked at.
So inconsistency on top of everything else. What did the court make of all this?
They weren't impressed. The High Court used the word casual to describe how the aspirants' futures were being handled. Casual.
Wow. After a major leak, you'd expect extreme diligence, not casualness. That's damning.
It led to a second cancellation, September 2023. So think about it. 2 attempts, nearly a year gone, 0 successful recruitments.
Unbelievable. You'd assume major reforms would happen then, surely.
You would think. But the cycle seemed destined to repeat. The commission pushed ahead, issuing a new notification in February 2024. Notification 02024, this time for 563 vacancies. Slightly more.
Okay, so a third attempt. Fresh start.
Prelims held in June 2024, mains in October 2024. Hope maybe flickered again, but then, March 2025, the marks lists come out.
Don't tell me. More problems.
The High Court stepped in again. I found a whole list of lapses. Again, it just felt like déjà vu for everyone involved.
It's the pattern that's so deeply worrying, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Not just isolated mistakes, but systemic failures repeating themselves. What were the issues this time?
Some really disturbing things like duplicate hall tickets issued with different numbers, a basic protocol breach.
Right, that undermines the very identity verification process.
And then, this really odd thing, exam centers were segregated by gender. Like specific centers only for women, others only for men.
Segregated centers. In this day and age, that immediately rings alarm bells about equality, Article 14, Article 15 of the Constitution, basic fairness.
Exactly. Centers 18 and 19 just for women, center 27 just for men. How is that equal access?
It isn't. It can create different conditions, potential biases. It's fundamentally problematic in a public exam. And were there other issues?
Oh, yes. The number of candidates for the mains exam seemed to fluctuate again. First 21,075, then suddenly 21,085. No clear reason given. And some candidates who were supposedly disqualified in the English paper still had all 6 of their main papers graded.
It just sounds chaotic, sloppy even. These aren't minor clerical errors when people's futures are on the line. They destroy confidence.
And then came maybe the most bizarre finding. The clone scores.
Clone scores, what does that mean?
It means 1,369 candidates get the sum with hall ticket numbers right next to each other, like 24090-247 and 24090-247-1 got the exact same total marks.
Identical marks for that many people, especially consecutive numbers.
Yeah, like 2 people in sequence both getting exactly 253 marks.
That defies statistical probability. Massively. It's almost impossible for that to happen by chance on such a scale. It screens either flawed scoring or, well, something worse.
It certainly fueled a lot of suspicion about how the papers were being evaluated. And speaking of evaluation,
I only guess problems there too.
the court found that it wasn't just the expected university faculty doing the grading. Retired professors were involved. Okay, maybe understandable. But also tutors from coaching centers.
Coaching tutors. Evaluating the very exams they coach students for. That's a massive conflict of interest.
Absolutely. How can that be impartial? It just undermines the whole idea of a fair assessment.
It really does. And any other major red flags from this latest round?
There was a stark difference in success rates based on the language candidates wrote the exam in.
Oh, how so?
Well, over 12,000 people took the exam in English, and 506 qualified.
Okay.
But over 8,600 took it in Telugu. Only 56 qualified.
Only 56 out of over 8,600, compared to 506 from 12,000. That's a huge disparity.
It is. The success rate for Urdu medium was better, about 1 in 10. But the English versus Telugu gap is jarring. The court itself called it an injustice.
And it raises serious questions, doesn't it? Is it about the quality of translation, access to study materials, the evaluation process itself? Whatever the cause, language seems to have become a barrier, which shouldn't happen.
Especially in Telangana, where Telugu is so widely spoken, it feels fundamentally unfair.
So beyond the exams themselves, what's the fallout? The human cost must be immense.
It really is years just gone, lost. For thousands of young people, we're looking at urban youth unemployment rates around, what, 16.45% between July 2023 and June 2024?
That's high. And these aspirants, they're not just waiting idly, they're investing heavily.
Hugely. Quitting jobs, pouring savings into coaching, studying 10, 12 hours a day, total dedication. The High Court hit the nail on the head. Unemployed youth of Telangana are the ultimate sufferers.
That phrase, ultimate sufferers, really captures it. It's not just about a delayed career. It's about lives put on hold, dreams deferred, mounting frustration and despair. Remember Kumar's comment, years gone, irreplaceable. That's the real tragedy here.
It impacts mental health, family finances, everything. And inevitably, it's become political too.
You'd expect that. How has that played out?
Well, opposition parties are pointing fingers at the government, obviously, blaming the commission's perceived incompetence. Student groups are worried about deliberate sabotage.
Sabotage, that's a strong claim.
It is. But the aspirants themselves, they just seem to be pleading for the whole process to be taken out of the political crossfire. They're saying, you know, these political games are being played at our expense.
And what's really telling is that the commission itself in an affidavit actually admitted that meddling was a factor.
They admitted it. Meddling.
Yes. Which suggests it's not just about technical glitches or incompetence, is it? It points to external interference, compromising what should be a neutral, merit-based system.
So where do things go from here? Are there potential fixes being discussed?
There are. Experts are suggesting things like, better technology, maybe blockchain or something leak-proof, transparent digital grading systems, an independent watchdog body to oversee the whole thing.
Makes sense. Professor M. Kodandaram, who is deeply involved in the Telangana movement, he had some thoughts too, right?
Yes, Professor Kodandaram stressed learning from these repeated failures. He pointed to basic things like needing enough qualified staff within the commission itself and setting up a proper grievance system so every little issue doesn't end up in court.
Building stronger foundations first, essentially.
Exactly. He emphasized getting the fundamentals right before trying anything else. It suggests the problems are quite deep-rooted.
Okay, but what about the commission? How are they responding to all this criticism, especially the latest court findings?
Well, according to one senior official who spoke anonymously, they don't see the high court judgment as the final word. They're hinting strongly at an appeal.
An appeal after all these issues.
That seems to be the plan. Their narrative is quite different. They're blaming the problems on, and this is their phrase, vested foes funding chaos.
Vested foes. So external enemies deliberately causing trouble.
That's the claim. They argue that other recruitment drives they've handled have gone smoothly. They also point to their transparency, like posting the main exam marks online, which they say even the national UPSC doesn't do until after interviews.
Okay, transparency is good, but does it excuse the other errors? What about the evaluators, the coaching tutors?
They dismiss that as ancient history, apparently referring to a rule or issue from 20 years ago, implying it's irrelevant now.
And the idea of a grievance cell, like Professor Kodandaram suggested.
They seem wary of that. The concern mentioned was that it would open a Pandora's box with every single mark being challenged, leading to paralysis.
So defending their position, blaming external factors, and perhaps hesitant about mechanisms that might invite more scrutiny.
That's one interpretation. They insist they have nothing to hide, that their documents are ready. But you have to wonder how that sounds to the thousands of aspirants who've been through this cycle again and again.
Yeah, those words might ring pretty hollow against the reality of canceled exams and court battles. It's been a whole decade now since that initial promise.
A decade.
Yeah.
And this isn't just about an exam. It goes right to the heart of that promise made in 2014. Can the state provide a fair, transparent pathway for its young people?
Those group I posts were meant to be symbols of opportunity, of building the new state. Now they symbolize, well, frustration, delay, maybe even disillusionment for some.
It really underscores how crucial strong, reliable institutions are. Without them, even the most inspiring political beginnings can falter. And the youth of Telangana, they're still caught in this waiting game, needing a system that respects their ambition.
And it forces you to ask a tough question. For these incredibly bright, resilient young people, is pouring years into this specific system with all its flaws truly worth the soul crush, as some describe it? That's a powerful question. Are there other avenues where their talent could flourish? Teaching, maybe? Starting businesses? Learning skilled trades? Paths that might offer more certainty, perhaps?
It's something to really think about, isn't it? Not just how to fix this broken exam system, but whether the intense focus on this one path, despite its problems, might be causing Telangana's youth to miss other opportunities. A difficult thought as the wait continues.